Welcome back to Downtime with Jacob and Greg. I'm Jacob.
I'm Greg.
And today we are talking about our favorite Christmas movies, so stay tuned after the intro to figure out what we like.
Do 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 do.
Yeah, we'll make that the intro.
Okay.
All right, welcome back. Thank you for sticking through that intro once again. So, Greg, I think the way that we should do this is we each made a list, top 3 Christmas movies.
Right.
It's that time of the year. Everyone's going to get nice and snuggly with some hot chocolate, put their Snuggies on if they still wear that.
Right.
I'm sure people have decorated their trees by now if they celebrate Christmas.
Right. We have to be inclusive.
We have to be inclusive, but there aren't many Jewish holiday or Islamic holiday movies that I know of.
That's fair. I don't think I know of many.
Yeah, right. So today we're going to talk about Christmas movies. We each have a top 3, like I said in the intro. And we're going to give our top 3. We're going to alternate between each other, give a little explanation as to why we like those Christmas movies. And then we're going to make our ultimate non-cohesive Christmas movie list. What that means is that these are the ones that we feel like we should, tell people to watch, but you can watch whatever. You are your own person.
Yeah. All right, let's get into it.
Let's get into it. What's your number 3, Greg?
My number 3 is How the Grinch Stole Christmas.
Now, which one?
The original one.
Okay.
With Jim Carrey.
Well, that's not the original one.
What's the original one?
The original one is the animated one. And then the second one, like the animated one from like the 60s.
Oh, I didn't even know about that one.
And the second one is the Grinch one with Jim Carrey.
Okay.
And then the third one is the one with Benedict Cumberbatch voicing the Grinch that DreamWorks did.
I did see that one. That one was not.
That Disney did. I don't know.
I think it was DreamWorks.
Okay.
That one was not the best.
Yeah, I didn't see it.
But yeah, I really like the one with Jim Carrey. Great story in it. He starts out as a kid that doesn't really have any friends. Everybody's picking on him, so then he isolates himself. And then he just, around Christmas time, he always gets sad, so he went down, stole Christmas, ruined Christmas for everybody, and then eventually he turned into the good guy, and everybody liked him. Overall, just a good family movie. Nothing really hard to follow in the movie, so it's just an overall just great experience.
The thing I like about movies that came out during that time, especially kids' movies, there were a lot more references and innuendos in them than we like to think about.
Yeah, you got to keep the parents involved.
Yeah, because, their kids are wanting to go see this movie, and the parents are like, all right, whatever. But then you throw in some adult references, that's when they start laughing.
Yeah. Do you have any examples of any from this movie? I can't really think of any.
I don't, but I do know that there are some. It's just been like, I haven't sat down and watched Christmas movies yet, so I'm...
It's almost time for that. We just got done with Thanksgiving, so you got to give it a little bit of time before you jump right into the Christmas movies.
Right. But yeah, I like that number 3. It's a good number 3.
Yeah, what's yours?
So my number 3 is Christmas with the Cranks.
Okay, this is with Tim Allen, right?
And Jamie Lee Curtis.
Good movie.
It is a great movie.
Good movie.
The reason I put it as number 3 is that like my other 2 ones, like it had to be on the list, but I couldn't put one. I couldn't put Christmas with the Cranks at number 1 or number 2.
Right.
So Christmas with the Cranks, if you haven't seen it, you should. Their whole premise is that the Cranks are wanting to skip Christmas. The parents are, because they just sent their daughter to Peru. She's on some sort of trip, and their whole, they're wanting to skip Christmas, but the whole neighborhood and the whole town basically is starting to hate them for wanting to go on this cruise.
Because everybody's got their lights up and stuff.
Yeah, everyone
right?
has their lights up except for them. The Cranks have this, yearly routine that they do. So everyone is excited to see them. They do a Christmas Eve party every year, but they weren't planning on doing it this year. And I don't know. It was just, it's funny. I like Tim Allen as an actor. Jamie Lee Curtis, she's mainly known for horrors because she's in the Halloween franchise and things like that.
Or people our age, around 20, like Freaky Friday.
Freaky Friday. I actually just watched that the other day.
Good movie.
Very funny.
Yeah, super funny movie.
Also a lot of innuendos for adults.
There are a lot in there.
But yeah, so she just, I appreciate her as an actress. She's one of my favorite actresses. It also makes me want to see Knives Out. I don't know if you've seen that yet.
I don't think I have.
All right.
Oh, wait, that's it's kind of like a Clue type thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, Clue the board game.
And Clue the movie. Have you seen the movie?
I haven't.
Oh, that movie's great. But that's a topic for another day.
Yeah. We'll do a horror episode maybe.
Yeah. So Christmas with the Cranks is my number 3. If you haven't seen it, like I said, watch it. Mm-hmm. So what's your number 2?
Well, Jacob, you might hate me for this, but I have 2 for my number 2.
You have 2 for your number 2.
So I guess I have a top 4.
All
but
right,
I have
let's hear it. Let's hear it.
So I have 2 tied. So I had to put Elf on my list.
Right.
Elf is just a really funny movie. It's got a lot of nostalgia. Will Ferrell.
Right. Hilarious.
Great. He's hilarious.
Yep.
And I've always just loved Christmas throughout my entire life. And that was one of the movies that we would watch all the time. So Elf's up there.
Right.
It's for those that don't know, which I'm sure most people have watched Elf.
If you haven't seen Elf, like, what are you doing with your life? I mean,
Really, though.
Really.
So it just follows the story of how this baby snuck into Santa's bag, and then Santa brought him to the North Pole, and then they basically raised a human as an elf, which is Will Ferrell's character. So the movie follows Will's character, Buddy, figuring out that he is not an elf,
Right.
that he is a human. And then it has a good story at the end where he falls in love, and it has a good ending.
Yeah.
So my other one for number 2 is Home Alone.
All right. Yeah.
Classic.
That is also my number 2.
That is your number 2?
Yeah.
All right. Well, you kick it off on this one.
So Home Alone, I just recently watched this documentary piece called "The Movies That Made Us" on Netflix.
Oh, I've been wanting to watch that.
So they made an episode about Home Alone. Home Alone was initially given a $10 million budget when they were originally going to do it with Fudge. They ended up doing it with 20th Century Fox. It was Warner Brothers.
Okay.
Warner Brothers gave them a $10 million budget.
Would you say that's big or little for the time?
Little.
Okay.
That's made in the 90s, right? So
Yeah. I think 99. Is it 99?
I think it's early 90s.
All right.
So they built this set in this abandoned high school. The insides of the house all are inside a high school gymnasium.
Really?
Yeah. Like watching that was wild. Like just seeing what they went through to get that movie made, because it almost wasn't made.
Yeah. But you know the good thing, like the thing I find very interesting about good movies is that they were made on small budgets.
Yeah.
Because they had to figure out ways to make things really cool.
Yeah.
Instead of, oh, we have all this money, it's okay, we'll just throw money at it.
Yeah. So they didn't.
Just before you go on, I looked it up. It was made in 1990.
Okay, yeah. So it probably started shooting in 1989.
Yeah.
So the good news was that the movie was made. 20th Century Fox picked them up, and they were given a budget of $15 million.
Okay.
So $5 million more is still a small budget. So yeah, they did all these crazy practical effects. Anytime that the wet bandits are falling off the staircase, that's hard falls by real stuntmen.
Yeah.
No pads or anything. They're just taking those falls.
Yeah. And that's what I really liked about the movie is that for most Christmas movies or holiday movies, it's a lot of like feel good type stuff.
Yeah.
This one is like he's beating people up.
Yeah.
Like it is not very like kid friendly, I guess.
Well, I think to counter that, I think this is very kid friendly because it's
Okay.
like every kid's wild dream.
That's fair.
You know, I guess he was like 10 years old maybe in
Yeah.
this movie. You're 10 years old, you're left alone, you have the whole house to yourself, you can eat whatever you want, and then you know, you're trying to also at the same time protect your house because you know you don't want anything to get stolen or damaged or anything, which he ended up doing a lot of damage to his house.
Right.
I don't know, man. Like, what do you think? Overall, great movie.
It is a great movie, and I think we touched on the points that I wanted to make was that it was a lot of like prankster type stuff.
Yeah.
And I know for me as a kid, I always was pranking my sister and my parents. So it was a lot of him figuring out how the heck is he going to keep himself safe
Right.
while his family is gone. And what's really funny is that like they have a bunch of these movies, like 1, 2, and 3. There's also a 4th with a different kid, but
I think
is
I think Home Alone 3 is where they got the different kid.
That's right. And then
it wasn't Macaulay Culkin.
Yeah, Home Alone 4 I think is with a female too.
Yeah.
So 1 and 2. So what I found interesting is how are they going to leave this kid alone two years in a row?
Yeah.
You know, maybe not 2 years in a row,
Two
but 2
separate
Christmases.
occasions. How?
How do you leave a kid?
But I mean, you know, you gotta ultimately chalk it up to it was in the script.
Right.
That's just how you have to enjoy the movie like that.
Mm-hmm.
You can't be so critical of it, or you just lose all like enjoyment of it.
Yeah, especially movies like this where it's like it's very plot driven. Like just be in it and just watch the movie.
So have you ever seen? I'm about to go on a little tangent, not too long. Have you ever seen The Breakfast Club, 16 Candles, National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation?
I've seen Breakfast Club and no to the rest of those.
Okay, so John Hughes, who I believe wrote and directed Breakfast Club, wrote the original script for Home Alone. So John Hughes is one of the greatest writers during the 80s and 90s. He died like 10 years ago. So Home Alone was his like project that he handed off to Chris Columbus, who directed it.
Christopher Columbus, the man that discovered America?
Chris Columbus. Two different guys. One guy was bad and pillaged and all that stuff. The other guy, he made some good movies.
Okay.
He directed the first 2 Harry Potter movies.
All right. Oh, speaking about Harry Potter, actually, I'll bring that up after you.
Yeah, I know where you want to talk about. We can bring that up after this.
All right.
But yeah, so it was just this weird project that Chris Columbus and John Hughes were like battling back and forth, like on terms of like writing, and then they eventually got that script down. And so the movie, for it being so good, had so many issues, and I think ultimately all of those issues made the movie great.
Right.
And that's
Majority of the good movies, like scenes that are really good, are either just improv or they were a mistake.
Yeah.
Which I find really interesting.
Yeah. There was a whole bunch of different new stuntman techniques, camera techniques, and different things that came from this movie.
Yeah, which is interesting in itself. Like, you wouldn't think that this movie would be very revolutionary.
Yeah.
But they figured out a lot of stuff.
Yeah, for the industry, it was crazy revolutionary.
Yeah. Well, Jacob?
Oh, man, I don't want to go into number 1.
What's your number 1?
My number 1 is The Santa Claus.
Bro, me too.
Are you like the first one?
The first one.
Now, the whole like trilogy of The Santa Claus is good.
Yes.
But me personally, I mean, I like the second one a little better, but like
really,
but like just a little bit. And I think that was because like I loved the first one so much, and then they just did great with the second one. The third one kind of fell flat a little bit.
I disagree, because the third one had a lot of nostalgia in it, because towards the end of the third one, he's with Fred Claus, and Fred Claus becomes Santa. And him becoming Santa, he has to throw back to the first movie where he calls Santa off the roof. And then Santa, who's Tim Allen in the movie, the actor, the third one throws back to the first movie, which I found.
Oh, where they did that like little time travel thing?
Yeah, where Tim Allen's like, "Hey you" type thing. They did a time travel thing in the third one.
So the first one, I don't know. Like, I think it stems from, I didn't really watch it until after my dad had married my stepmom, and then my grandfather, who was like my stepmom's dad, well, my stepmom's stepdad, but I don't like using all those steps because it's pointless.
It's hard to follow.
I'm not a carpenter.
Anyways, people.
Yeah. So my grandpa watches the Santa Claus movies every year, Christmas time. Mm-hmm. And so the first Christmas that we did together, I watched it, and I was 8 years old, loved it.
Yeah.
And I don't know what I love watching it. Every year I watch it, it's funny.
Yeah.
And there's no humor like that. And like, there are very few movies that I can watch over and over again and laugh every time. Mm-hmm. I do like to keep this movie on the shelf for, keep from watching it until it's Christmas time.
Yeah.
And I mean, 1, it's a Christmas movie. 2, I can't, like, there are many times where if I'm super bored, I will try to watch a movie back to back to like kind of like miss different, like to get things that I may have missed. Mm-hmm. But every year it's always a like new experience watching it, because I forget kind of like how, I mean, I know how the main story goes, I just don't remember all of the interactions.
Right. I'm the same way too. Like
Yeah.
I watch that movie every single year.
Yeah.
The same time, of course, Christmas time, and a similar story to yours. My grandma and I, when I was very young, we would watch the movie, and I rarely get to hang out with my grandma just because she lives in Florida. I live in North Carolina. And for me, it was just like, it was our quality time. It was a chance for us to get together and be able to watch this movie together. So it has a lot of those feelings behind it.
Yeah.
And like you were saying, like every year I pick up on something different that I hadn't watched. And I rarely watch movies multiple times in a row.
Right.
But with this movie, I could watch it all the time.
Yeah. I mean, it's just that good quality comedy that, you know, it's not a movie that's relying based on sex jokes or
Right.
anything like that. It's wholesome. And it, you know, me as a person who finds a lot of things funny, it's nice to take a break from, you know, a constant sex joke or constant, like, you know, just trashy joke.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know, it's making a joke of something that's like, you know, that shouldn't be funny, and you're laughing like, oh, this is terrible, ha ha ha.
Yeah.
It's nice to have that good quality comedy from these movies, especially because, you know, they're family movies. Christmas is like one of my favorite holidays.
Yeah. Anybody of any age can appreciate this movie.
Yeah, definitely. And then, like I was saying about the Santa Claus 2, I liked how it was him trying to find love to save his powers.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like, ultimately, you know, that was his, like, initial way of, like, I gotta save my powers. I'm gonna marry the first person I meet.
Yeah.
Then eventually he just falls in love with her, and he doesn't really care about the powers until, like, the end where he needs to save Christmas
Right.
from the robot Santa.
Yeah.
Like that.
The toy Santa.
The toy Santa.
It's funny that he falls in love with his kid's principal, too.
Yeah. I mean,
he first met her in a what was going on? Yeah, disciplinary.
Because Charlie had spray painted the gym.
That's right. He did. Because he hated Christmas. Charlie is Scott Calvin. Scott Calvin's the main character.
Santa.
Who becomes Santa Claus. Yeah. Scott Calvin, SC.
Yeah.
And then his son, what was his name again?
Charlie. You
Charlie.
just said it.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Charlie. Charlie gets in trouble by the spray paint, and then he falls in love with the principal.
Yeah. Well, Scott does, not
Scott.
Charlie.
Yes. Yeah. Not Charlie.
Because that would be a whole different movie. That'd be a bunch of courtroom scenes that we don't need to see.
Yeah, you're right.
But yeah, it's weird how we had a very similar list. I didn't put Elf on my list because I was saving that for the ultimate, like, Christmas movie list. I was gonna throw it in as like a surprise, but you ruined it.
I'm sorry, I ruined it.
So,
but
you wanted to talk about Harry Potter.
I did want to talk about Harry Potter.
Why do you want to talk about Harry Potter, Greg?
Well, Jacob, I wanted to talk about Harry Potter because while developing this list, I was looking up Christmas movies, and Harry Potter was on the list. I have no idea why Harry Potter's a Christmas movie, quote unquote. To me, it's definitely not a Christmas movie.
Yeah, because it's not a Christmas movie.
I think the reason why is because it's set during Christmas time.
Well, I think because it goes through, like, the different seasons throughout one movie.
Okay.
Like, you know, it does that time jump between, like, you know, the beginning of their semester, whatever they call it, to Christmas vacation, and then back from, like, New Year's and then summer vacation. That's usually how those movies go. Usually.
Right.
Except for the last two, because it was like a continuation from one movie to another.
Right. So it was in the same time period.
Yeah, so Harry Potter, it has this sense of family, you know, between Harry, Ron, and Hermione.
Yeah.
That you could say, oh, it's Christmas because they're celebrating together, or they open up Christmas presents at Hogwarts, but there's no Santa. There's no. So
that's interesting. So you think
reindeer.
there has to be Santa to be a Christmas movie. However, Home Alone does not have Santa Claus.
Oh, that is a good point.
Yeah.
That is a good point.
Hey, man, I'm just saying.
Well, I mean, ultimately, it has to have that kind of, like, feel of Christmas.
Okay.
You know.
So it has to be set during Christmas time?
Well, like, you know, December.
So Harry Potter is.
It has a section of it. A section is set during the holiday season.
think we're getting to something on here.
I don't think it's a Christmas movie. I'm not gonna.
I think it might be a Christmas movie.
I'm not gonna say Harry Potter is a Christmas movie, and the only reason is because it's not the main focus of the movie.
Okay.
Where Home Alone, it's they're going on a Christmas vacation, right? And they leave Kevin at home during Christmas. Mm-hmm. So it's like they're trying to get back to him to celebrate Christmas together and make sure he's all right. And then these wet bandits, this is their name, are trying to, steal their stuff during the Christmas time so they can pawn it and make some money.
Yeah. Anyways, we'll leave it up to the viewers on this one. We'll leave it open-ended.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to say it's a Christmas movie. I'm
not going to say it's not a Christmas movie.
I strongly suggest that you say it is not a Christmas movie. Not you, Greg, but you, the listener.
Yeah.
Even though that's redundant. You, the listener.
You, the listener.
Yeah.
I guess we broke the fourth wall on this one.
We did. Hello. I know you're listening.
All right, Jacob. Let's create our ultimate list of the... You want to do top 5 or you want to do top 3?
I think that we could do top 4.
Top 4?
Yeah, because we're not in a place right now to do 5.
Okay. All right, Jacob. Let's do our top 5.
Okay, we're doing top 5 then.
No, I'm just kidding. We'll do top 4.
Number 4.
Well, let's start at the top. I think that'd be easy. So number 1 has to be the Santa Claus because we both agreed on it.
I think people should watch the whole trilogy.
Yeah, I agree. Maybe not back to back, but definitely watch the first one, then eventually watch the other two.
Well, definitely within like the same week.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, you could just play it on the same day if you have enough time, but
give it a little bit of time to settle.
Yeah, maybe a few hours in between.
Yeah,
or a day.
Yeah. All right, number 2. We also agreed on this one for the most part.
Home Alone.
Home Alone.
I think Home Alone 1 and 2 as well. Lost in New York was good.
Yeah.
But the first one just had that more like wholesome feel to it.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
Because that was a lower budget movie. They didn't expect to make a lot of money at the box office with the first one. So I think Home Alone 2 is it feels. I mean, it's authentic, but less authentic than the first one.
Yeah, I think that's really interesting that we put 2 contenders that have a series with it. Because usually when it goes to the sequels, it's just trash.
Yeah.
But I think the Santa Claus and Home Alone, they do pretty well on the sequels. All right, number 3. What do you have for your number 3 again?
I had Christmas with the Cranks.
That's right. Honestly, I'd be okay leaving that off the list. It's not in my top 5.
I was going to put that lower, honestly.
Okay.
I think number 3 should be Elf.
We'll go with Elf. Elf, definitely. Classic movie. It's a lot of people's favorite. Yeah, just quality movie.
Yeah, like good fun, quality, wholesome, awesome.
For sure. All right, so we have a number 4 slot.
Yeah.
We have 2 movies to choose from. How the Grinch Stole Christmas and what is it called? Christmas with the Cranks.
Yeah.
So obviously I'm going to want mine on the list. And I feel like a lot of people have seen this movie. It's a lot of people's favorites. A funny movie.
Yeah.
Christmas with the Cranks, I'm not sure how many people have seen it in general, but it is a good movie.
Right.
And then we get in the debate, can we have 2 Tim Allen movies?
Yeah, see, I was thinking about that too, but at the same time, I don't care because Tim Allen is, he's funny.
Yeah.
Ultimately, I would have to agree with you. I think The Grinch should be on there. It's one of my favorites. I would probably, I don't know, I've probably seen it more than Christmas with the Cranks because I've only seen that recently in the last few years.
It is on Netflix, so it's accessible.
Yeah, if you have Netflix.
If you have Netflix.
But yeah, I would say number 4, How the Grinch Stole Christmas.
Okay.
And then if we had to put a number 5, honestly, have you seen A Christmas Carol with Jim Carrey? Playing
A Christmas Carol.
Ebenezer Scrooge.
No, I don't think I have.
You haven't seen that?
No.
Or Polar Express.
Polar Express, good movie. Animated, we don't really have an animated one on the list. So you want to create a top 5
We'll create a top 5 and say Polar Express, yeah.
All right.
Tom Hanks played the majority of those characters.
Did he really?
Mm-hmm.
Which one?
He played Santa, the conductor, The homeless guy that lived on top of the train. He played the little boy. He played probably some elves.
He must have got paid very well for this movie.
It was all on like a small sound stage wearing mocap.
Was
suits.
this also like behind the scenes in the Netflix documentary thing?
No, I watched it on YouTube.
Okay.
There's a great YouTube channel called Corridor Digital, and they're doing this series where it's called VFX Artists React.
Okay.
And so they give like, they find out behind the scenes on how visual effects are made for different movies, whether they're good or bad. Also with TV shows. So that's how I learned that. And I thought that was really interesting because I didn't really expect like all that information, because at the time when the movie came out, they didn't really know how to classify it, because it wasn't animation, but it was real people behind the animation, like real actors doing all this stuff.
Like with the suits and stuff?
Mm-hmm.
That's cool.
But yeah,
All right.
I think Polar Express, you got hot chocolate, right? I mean,
Hot
we
chocolate.
got it. Yeah. Definitely a good movie.
Yeah. All right, so our top 5 is Polar Express
The number
at
5.
number 5.
Yep.
Number 4, How the Grinch Stole Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
Number 3, Elf. Number 2, Home Alone. Watch all of it, though.
Yeah, watch 1 and 2.
1
I
and
wouldn't
2.
say 3 or 4.
3 or 4. All right, leave those off. And then at number 1, the top slot, the Santa Claus.
Right.
I think it's a great list.
I think that this is the best list I've ever done. So let's give a round of applause just
To us.
to us.
To you,
You
and me.
and me.
All right, everybody. So if you're looking for Christmas movies to check out, those 5 are really good. Well, I guess 6 with Christmas for the Cranks. What's it called?
Christmas with the Cranks.
I don't even know the title of the movie. But check those movies out if you want some Christmas time movies.
Watch them with your family, and if you don't have a family, watch them with a friend.
Yeah. Or
Maybe-
by yourself.
Or by yourself. I mean, yeah.
I watch the Santa Claus by myself most of the time.
I try not to watch Christmas movies by myself, because I'm like, I see all this family stuff, and I get sad.
Okay, get sad.
Like,
That's true.
but to each his own.
Anyways,
Thank you for listening, and tune in to the next episode.
we'll see you.